you want to become a property investor, you want to make money, you want to be rich, do not trust the government with their schemes and ideas and plans. Because in my opinion, the government's agenda is that you will be poor. You will work a regular job and work 40 hours a week for 40 years to retire on 40% of what you couldn't afford to live on in the first place. So in this video, I'm going to be answering many questions that I get on Instagram. People message me every day about a new government scheme or idea which is going to help them get on the property ladder, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on some of these schemes and then telling you what I would do instead. So first scheme is the Help to Buy scheme, which is where the government help you buy a property by giving you a deposit where you only have to put in 5%. So in other words, if you're buying a house for £200,000, you're going to typically need about 20% deposit, which is going to be what, 40 grand. You can't afford that. So the government say, you put 5% in and we'll match the difference. This is Help to Buy. This scheme sucks. Run a mile from it. It's riddled with red tape and flaws and clauses, and one of them is that you have to live in the property. We have to get this in our head. British people that think that owning a house to live in is a really good first step. It's not. It's a terrible step. If you own a house and you live in it, that house is not making you any money. And now you've got a big mortgage. And that mortgage is debt. And it's not good debt, it's bad debt, because you have to physically pay it off yourself. Because good debt is where you have debt, but it's making you money. Owning a house that you live in is not making you any money. If anything, it's just making you a slave, because now it's like, I definitely can't quit my job now because I've got a mortgage around my neck. And the government's agenda and most of their schemes are around you buying a house that you live in. So now you're riddled in debt. Also, it only applies for new build properties. What happens when you buy a new build property? It drops in 10% when you buy it. Why? Because when it's new and shiny, it's more expensive. So they're loaning you money to buy a new shiny house that you have to live in, that's a liability, not an asset. It drops in value as soon as you buy it. And now your mortgage is more than the value of the house. So you're minus and trapped living in the house. It sucks. Next, shared ownership. Shared ownership also sucks. That's where you buy a house, but you only buy part of the house and you rent the other part. And it's really difficult to get out of these schemes because you can't sell on the share. How can you sell something that you only own part of? Now you've got a mortgage and rent, and it's always leasehold properties. So it just sucks. Don't do shared ownership. Don't do Help to Buy. Right to Buy. Right to Buy is something that was brought in by Margaret Thatcher. They're already abolishing it in parts of the UK. And it's where if you've lived in a council house for a very long time, you have a discount where you have the right to buy at a discount. This is a great thing. If you have the right to buy, get in and get in now. Also, let's say you have right to buy it 30% discounted. You can actually use the discount as the deposit. Not many people know this. So I like that scheme. Lifetime ISAs, I hate. Lifetime ISAs suck. That's where you save up money to buy a house and the government gives you 25% on top of what you've saved. And you might think, oh, that sounds great. Well, no, it's not. It sucks. The first reason it sucks is because you have to buy a house to live in. Again, everything points you in the path where the government want you to go, which is go to school, be a good boy, get good grades, get a job, buy a house, work hard, pay off the mortgage, get a pension, and then retire at 67. Everything points you in that direction. That's the ladder they want you to climb. And that ladder doesn't work. If you climb to the top of that ladder, by the time you get to the top, you'll realize that you climbed the wrong ladder. Also, you can't save more than 5 grand a year. So psychologically, it messes you up, because if you're saving for a house and the government say, save in an ISA and we'll match 25%, and you're like, oh, that sounds great. They're gonna top it up by 25%. So if I save 10 grand, they're gonna give me 2.5 grand towards a house. Brilliant. But then they tell you that you can't put more than 5 grand a year in it. What happens? Well, what happens is it psychs you out now, because now you're thinking, well, how much do I need to buy a house? 50 grand, 100 grand? So now you're thinking, okay, so it's gonna be 10 years before I can buy a house. So in your mind, for the next 10 years, you're not even a homeowner. You're living with your parents. You're playing on the PlayStation. And this is the type of reason, these ISAs, why people are getting pushed back and back and back. This adolescence stage, young adult stage, it's ridiculous. So those schemes, don't like them. If the government are offering you a scheme, you should usually run a mile. What should you do instead? Because I'm not just going to bitch and moan about how bad the government schemes are. What should you do instead? You should create your own schemes. Purchase lease option agreement. That is a brilliant scheme. And that is a method of buying a house which the government are not involved with, where you can buy a house now and pay for it later. But you agree it with the owner. Rent to rent. where you control a property and rent it out for a higher amount and you benefit from the monthly cash flow. You're not owning anything, but you're controlling something and making cash flow. Freedom. Freedom is what we want. All the other schemes of the government, they're a rope around your neck. Find private investors, your parents, your family, people that you know, and learn how to invest the money privately and smart. Learn how to recycle the money through buy, refurbish, refinance. Buy a house for 100 grand, spend 50 grand on it, and then refinance it at 200 grand and pull all the money back out. And use someone else's money to do it and snowball your portfolio. So there's many things that you can do where the government aren't involved, which are very smart. And the funny thing is, the government and the media will bash these concepts. The media will talk about how rent-to-rents are really risky and they're really bad. No, they're not, they're brilliant. They just want you to be a slave. So if you want to learn the creative strategies, how you can actually become financially independent and successful without relying on the government, then join me at the Property Investors Crash Course. It's £1 and it all starts at the Crash Course. So I hope to see you there. I'll leave a link in the description. Let's spend the day together. It's £1 all across the UK. Get booked. Let's work together, let's grow your portfolio, and let's do it now.